Maryland football is going bowling for the second year in a row. Men's soccer and field hockey are gearing up for their postseason, and basketball is just a few short weeks away here in College Park. All that and more coming up on the Left Bench.
I knew if I did my part, it was going to make his job easier, and if he did his part, it was going to make my job easier.
I just appreciate everybody coming out and kind of kicking off the season.
Hello and welcome to the Left Bench presented by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Maggy McGuigan.
And I'm Podgorski. Now, Maggie, for the second straight year in a row, Maryland football is bowl eligible. But the biggest difference between this year and last was when the Terps qualified. They took until the last game of the regular season in 2021 to get to that 6th win. This year, it's only taken them 8 games.
That's right, Ricky. Let's check out some of the highlights and see how the Terps brought home win number 6. Maryland was without starting quarterback Talia Tagovailoa, so the offense got off to a rocky start, but the second half looked much different for the Terps. Northwestern capitalized on a banged-up Maryland defense early with a touchdown, but the start of the second quarter looked more promising for the Terps, with Roman Hemby running the first of his 3 touchdowns. The Wildcats didn't let that stop them. They put another touchdown up on the board and went into the halftime on top, 17-10. It was a different atmosphere in the second half, though. Another Hemby score and a Rakim Jarrett touchdown catch gave the Terps their first lead of the game. Northwestern clapped back with an Andrew Clare touchdown run, but once again, here comes Hemby with an electric 75-yard run to put the Terps back on top. And Maryland wasn't done after that. Bo Braid showed out with a huge interception and the Terps took this one, 31-24.
I can tell you that their confidence has grown because at halftime they came in and said, "Coach, let's figure out the best runs and let's run the ball. These guys, we can knock them off the ball." And it created some confidence in there. And then again, Roman did a tremendous job getting behind those big guys. And we needed the run game in the second half, and it opened up a play action pass to Rock where he got in the end zone. And it makes us just more tougher to defend when we get the run game going like that.
Several key players did not suit up against Northwestern due to injury. Jayshon Barham, Antoine Littleton, among others, did not play. But the biggest name to not suit up was Talia Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa suffered a sprained MCL in the game against Indiana, allowing backup QB Billy Edwards Jr. to start the first game of his collegiate career. I took a closer look at Edwards' play and his potential future with the Terps.
After quarterback Talia Tagovailoa was carted off the field at Indiana, it was Billy Edwards Jr.'s time to step into the role. The redshirt freshman started his first game for the Terps against Northwestern, recording 166 passing yards and a touchdown. Edwards began the game slow, overthrowing or coming up a bit too short on some of his passes, but turned it around in the second half, working alongside Roman Hemby to bring home the win. The standout of Edwards' performance was his rushing ability. Edwards tallied 66 rushing yards and a 4.1-yard average. His 6'3", 207-pound frame helped him break tackles and gain extra yardage.
I definitely, think I can extend the plays with my feet when I need to. I think sometimes, I definitely got a little bit undisciplined and kind of had my eyes down at the rush where there were times I could have kept my eyes downfield and, throwing the ball downfield to an open receiver. Obviously, that's something, I'll have to continue to develop and get better on as my career goes on. But, sometimes you're going to have days like that where they're bringing all sorts of type of pressure, so you're going to have to extend plays and find guys downfield.
Edwards connected with 9 options through the air. Rakim Jarrett led all receivers with 82 of Edwards' 166 passing yards.
Billy came in and, really did a tremendous job of leading us and doing the things that he's been coached to do. So, it's always great when you can learn and teach off of a win like this to show him, and he's been able to add tremendous experience to his toolbox, which when given the opportunity again, he can learn from those things.
The Edwards-led Terps took home their 6th win of the season, making Maryland eligible for a bowl game. The Terps head into a bye week, then are on the road against Wisconsin. The extra rest trends in favor of a return of Tagovailoa to the offense, but Edwards still got the job done for win number 6. For Terrapin Sports Central, I'm Podgorski.
Now, Maggie, one thing to note about Billy Edwards' solid performance was that his rushing ability was pretty solid, but, I mean, this bye week could not have come at a better time for this Terp squad.
Yeah, you're not kidding. It's going to give this banged-up roster a little more time to get healthy and hopefully some more time for Talia Tagovailoa to return.
Absolutely. Now, speaking about byes, there were plenty of byes, but 4 of them were in the Big Ten this week, and there was still plenty of action all across the conference.
To tell us how the rest of the conference performed on Saturday, Kira Bruno is here to break it down. Kira?
Yeah, guys, it was an action-packed weekend for the Big Ten, and Maryland's next opponent looked pretty impressive. We're going to start off in Columbus, where number 2 Ohio State took care of business against Iowa and its lackluster offense. With the first play of the game being a Buckeye interception, it set the tone of the game early, and it came as no surprise when the Buckeyes only allowed the Hawkeyes 10 points on the board. The one and only touchdown from the Hawkeyes came early in the first with a huge hit from Joe Evans on C.J. Stroud, and he scooped the fumble and headed straight towards the end zone, scoring the first touchdown of the game. But that energy didn't last long. The Buckeyes' defense was unstoppable. With 3 interceptions and a pick 6 by Tommy Eichenberg, the Hawkeyes just could not keep up. Ohio State's offense started to feed off the fire, and they never looked back, tallying up 4 touchdowns in the second half and leading the Buckeyes to victory 54-10. And that wasn't the only beatdown this weekend. You could say the matchup between Minnesota and number 16 Penn State looked similar, with a 45-17 Nittany Lions victory. It was a whiteout game in Happy Valley, and at first the crowd wasn't too happy when Sean Clifford came out to start, but he certainly made sure he didn't disappoint, throwing for 295 yards and 4 touchdowns. Minnesota's starting quarterback Tanner Morgan was out with a head injury, so it was up to freshman Ethan Kaliakmanis to lead the Gophers' offense, but he only completed 9 of his 22 passes on the night. In Week 9, Penn State will host Ohio State for the big noon kickoff on Fox, and what a matchup that should be. Next up, we're going to head over to Piscataway, where Rutgers was able to grab their first Big Ten win of the season against Indiana, 24-17. The Hoosiers were the ones to come out hot with a huge 93-yard kickoff return from Jalen Lucas, the first Hoosiers kick return touchdown in a decade. Connor Bazelak ran in another touchdown later on in the first, helping the Hoosiers to a 14-7 lead at the half. But those would be the only points they would put up on the board after a hungry Scarlet Knights offense came back in the second half to get it done, adding a field goal and 2 touchdowns to put them on top. The Hoosiers were given another chance near the end of the fourth, but Christian Braswell said, "No way, I'm taking that ball for a pick 6, securing the Scarlet Knights victory. And the last 2 teams in the Big Ten to square off were Purdue and Wisconsin, and interim head coach Jim Leonard picked up his second win in a row. Graham Mertz threw 2 touchdowns, and Braylon Allen rushed for a game-high 113 yards and a touchdown. And John Torchio also had a 31-yard return for a touchdown for the Badgers. The Boilermakers put up 2 touchdowns in the fourth, but it was too little too late, and Wisconsin picked up the W 35-24. Wisconsin is Maryland's next opponent on November 5th, and after becoming bowl eligible on Saturday, the Terps' morale is high. They'll hope to improve to 7-2 in Madison. And guys, although Maryland does have a bye week, it should still be an exciting weekend in the Big Ten, especially with that Ohio State and Penn State matchup. Both are high-scoring teams and have been relatively dominant in the Big Ten, so it should definitely be a game to look out for.
Yeah, let's be honest. Ohio State really hasn't been tested yet this season, so it's going to be interesting how they do in Happy Valley.
And Penn State coming off such a dominant win over Minnesota. Minnesota in a bit of a skid, 4-3 on the year. Certainly something interesting to note of. But Kira, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Well, we just went around the Big Ten, but now it's time to take you around Kehoe Track. Every year to inaugurate the beginning of the men's basketball season, the team hosts the annual Midnight Mile, where students kick off the start of the season by running a mile with the team. This year's Midnight Mile took place last Tuesday night, and Alex Gary was there.
Maryland men's basketball may have their first game of the season scheduled for November 7th against Niagara, but the true start of the season came Tuesday night at Kehoe Track at Ludwig Field. Hundreds of students flocked to the track to interact with players and, more importantly, run the Midnight Mile.
We're big on Maryland pride, and we think basketball is such a fun way to connect with the community, and that's why we get so excited to come to Midnight Mile to meet some of the players.
A tradition started 51 years ago by legendary Maryland coach Lefty Drizel gets the players in shape prior to the season and allows for students to be involved with the team.
I like the Midnight Miles because it gives us a chance to interact with the other students and just show everybody that we're not bigger than anybody.
And I don't feel like most schools really do stuff like this. I feel like it's great for the team, the community around the team. I feel like we keep doing things like this, it's going to bring in more fans and more interest in the team.
Kevin Willard joins the ranks of legendary coaches to carry on the Midnight Mile tradition and kick off the Maryland season.
Kind of like the start of basketball. You know, it's a nice kickoff. It's great. All the students are out here, and we have the student section at the football games have been unbelievable. So it's got me pumped up knowing what's going to happen next, and I just appreciate everybody coming out and kind of kicking off the season.
Willard has been welcomed with open arms by the Maryland community as everyone is excited to see the new age of Maryland basketball. As the Kevin Willard era starts for Maryland basketball, the Midnight Mile served as a starting point for Willard and the team to live up to fans' expectations. For Terrapin Sports Central, I'm Alex Gary.
Midnight Mile is one of my favorite events on campus. Such an awesome tradition, seeing really cool dynamic between all the fans and the players. It's just one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's such a strong tradition that really gets me excited for opening night.
Absolutely. I couldn't be more pumped for that. Now let's keep it right here, because when we come back, we'll catch you up on everything else that happened in the world of sports this past weekend.
And later, Brendan Weissel and Sam Jane will preview the Maryland women's basketball season by taking a look at a few of the transfers Brenda Frese picked up during this off-season. Don't go anywhere.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight, both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back, because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
As a dad, every day is a challenge. To make sure that the time that I spend with them, it doesn't matter how tired you are, you have to try and to teach them. When they learn something new and you can just see in their faces, it's such an incredible moment. It's those moments that are my favorite.
Hey guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Welcome back to The Left Bench, brought to you by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Ricky Podgorski, joined alongside Maggy McGuigan, and let's not waste any time getting back to the highlights. With back-to-back draws and a loss at home to High Point, Maryland men's soccer hadn't been playing its best coming into Friday night's match with Michigan State. But the Terps were able to turn it around in their second-to-last Big Ten game of the regular season. Sasha Swarovski started the night off celebrating his 8 seniors who have contributed their all to the Maryland program. The Terps struck first thanks to William Kolvik, who found the back of the net in the 13th minute after the ball bounced around the box off a corner. The Terps kept pushing against the Spartans, notching 13 shots, but they just could not finish. Despite offensive struggles, Maryland's defense showed out against the Spartans, not allowing them to take a single shot. It was the first time since 2016 that the Terps did not allow a shot by their opponent.
90 minutes of the year, we held a very good team to 0 shots on goal. Or 0 shots period, I guess, which is just outstanding. So I thought we grew today on the defensive side of things.
In its most crucial game of the season, number 2 Maryland field hockey couldn't overcome 5th-ranked Penn State, losing 5-1 on Friday night. Maryland took the early lead, capitalizing on the first penalty corner of the game, but the Nittany Lions quickly responded. Penn State outplayed the Terps defense, resulting in Maryland's biggest deficit of the season. The loss marked Maryland's second of the season, ending the possibility of an undefeated finish in conference play. The Terps have lost the past 3 games of this budding rivalry, proving that the Nittany Lions are their toughest opponent in the conference.
Maryland volleyball continues to skid, losing their 7th straight home match and 2nd straight match overall Saturday night. The Terps hosted Northwestern at the PAV, where they were swept in straight sets by the Wildcats. Sam Sire led the way for the Terps with 15 kills on the night, but it was not enough to hold back Northwestern. Maryland began each set with a promising start, but a streaky Northwestern team shifted the momentum in their favor. Northwestern would go on to win the match 3-0. the Terps fall to 12-10 on the regular season and haven't won a home match since the month of August. Here's head coach Adam Hughes on the loss.
I thought a big difference was they were finding hands better than we were. They were skimming balls off the top, and it's probably 8 or 10 kills that they're not even diggable because they're off hands, out of bounds, and that's something that we have to improve upon. We got beat in that category.
Maryland women's soccer closed out its season with a victory on Sunday. The Terps were led by freshman midfielder Ava Morales, whose first 2 collegiate goals contributed to the 3-1 win over Purdue. The opening half was a back-and-forth battle defined by defensive struggles from both teams, giving the Terps and Boilermakers ample scoring opportunities. After an early goal from Morales, Purdue gained momentum offensively and scored a goal of their own. But the Terps quickly responded as Morales took back the lead for her team at the end of the half. The Terps found their composure in the second half and sealed their 3rd Big Ten win of the season.
The team ended with a 4-8-5 record on the year, almost identical to last year's 4-9-5 season. First-year head coach Megan Ryan-Nemser led the Terps to their best season in the Big Ten since 2019. Maryland finished with 3 Big Ten wins on the year, including a home win against Michigan on September 16th and their recent 3-1 victory over Purdue. Although the season ends here, there's a lot to look forward to with this program going forward and a lot to work on.
A pair of Maryland women's basketball stars have been added to watch lists for 2 national awards recognizing the top players at each position. Senior guard Diamond Miller was named to the Ann Myers Drysdale Award watch list for the 2nd straight season. The award recognizes top shooting guard in Division I. Miller is Maryland's leading returning scorer, and she is also a 2-time All-Big Ten honoree. Her teammate sophomore Cheyenne Sellers was named a watch list candidate for the Cheryl Miller Award, recognizing the top small forward in the country. Sellers led the Terps in steals last season and was named to the All-Big Ten freshman team. The Terps are picked to finish 4th in the Big Ten this season by the league's and head coaches and media panel, and they have one of the toughest schedules in the nation. And when we come back, you'll hear about a few players who will be joining them on the court this year.
And as always, we'll crown our Pro Terp, Terp of the Week, and show you our top 5 plays from this past weekend. Stay with us.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far. A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Welcome back once again to the left bench. And Ricky, we just talked about 2 returners for Maryland women's basketball that are poised to lead the team this season. But a few transfers are expected to be key contributors as well.
That's right, and for more on them, we are very excited to welcome on Terrapin Sports Central's Brendan Weisel and Sam Jane to analyze their potential for this season. Guys?
Yeah, thanks so much, Ricky. 5 out of the top 6 scorers from last year's team departed in the offseason, which will create a whole new look for the Maryland team this upcoming year.
Yeah, Sam, the team features 9 new faces this upcoming season, with 5 of them coming from the transfer portal and 4 being freshmen. So, Sam, who should we look at?
Yeah, far right of your screen is the Princeton transfer, Abby Myers. Myers is somebody that Brenda Frese is really excited about because of her positional flexibility and shooting. She comes as the Ivy League Player of the Year last year, and she is not afraid of the big-time game, as she scored a career-high 29 points against Kentucky in the NCAA tournament last year. Myers is also a threat from deep, as she shot over 40% from behind the arc, showing off the bounce and also off the catch potential from behind the arc. Additionally, Myers can create off the bounce with a little bit of secondary creation and play out of ball screens. Here you see her footwork and her ability to score the rock, which should take pressure off Diamond Miller.
Yeah, Sam, but she's not the only transfer brought in who's going to focus on scoring. Brene Alexander from Vanderbilt led the Commodores in scoring last year and hopes to do the same this year for the Terrapins. But she'll need someone to get her the ball. Transfer Eliza Pinson specializes in just that, and she joined the Terps after 4 seasons at USF.
Yeah, Pinson averaged just over 5 assists last year for the Bulls, and with more surrounding talent, one would think that number will go up. She's not only able to drive and kick, but she also can help set off the offense, which should give Frese, reason to sleep at night knowing she has a veteran guard. Furthermore, if teams sag off of her from beyond the arc, she can and will knock down the tray ball, as you can see in these 2 clips. Those 2 skills will give the Terps a steady hand at the point guard position heading into this upcoming year. And another person who will provide a scoring punch along the wing is Florida transfer Lavender Briggs. Briggs joined the team last year, but due to injury, she was never able to play in a game. But she averaged 19.3 points in the 2021 season for the Florida team, which was the 4th highest scoring average in Gators women basketball history.
Yeah, Sam, all 4 of those players are looking to make big impacts on the floor this season for the Terrapins. Unfortunately, one transfer who will not is Allie Kubak from Townsend, as she suffered a torn ACL early this season in practice.
Yeah, all those transfers are going to play a huge role for the team this year, Ricky. But it'll be interesting to see with the big time and opponents coming to College Park and a really tough schedule, how quickly these transfers get acclimated.
Yeah, Sam, Maryland faces Baylor, UConn, and reigning national champions South Carolina, so they're going to be up for some big tests in non-conference play.
With all these new faces on the roster, Brenda Frese is going to be under a lot of pressure this season.
I mean, like you guys mentioned, there's a lot of scoring ability, a lot of shooting, a lot of passing there. It's really going to be interesting to see how Brenda Frese will work on that chemistry and that team, the team building, to see if she can get to that winning tradition that Maryland is known for.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks guys, appreciate it.
We'll be staying on the court for our Pro Terp this week because it's former Maryland big man Jalen Smith. Smith led the Indiana Pacers to their first win of the season on Saturday. He was considered questionable to return after an injury, but then he stepped onto the court with a whole new demeanor, matching career highs with 19 points, 15 rebounds, and 3 blocks. The 10th overall pick in 2020 led his team to victory over the Pistons. Congrats to Jalen Smith on being crowned our Pro Terp.
And for our Terp of the Week, it is none other than standout running back Roman Hemby, who had a career night against Northwestern. The young stud tallied 179 yards and scored 3 touchdowns. Hemby broke free for a 75-yard dash for the game-winning score, helping the Terps to their 6th victory of the season. Roman Hemby, more like Roman Himby. Congratulations on being crowned our Terp of the Week.
Now let's wrap things up with our top 5 plays. Ricky, start us off.
All right, Maggie, at number 5, we have a penalty corner from Danielle Van Brutzelaar against Penn State, assisted by BB Dondrat. What a shot.
Next up at number 4 is Bo Braid interception with a little gritty at the end of the play. Braid gave a special shout out to Dolphins tight end Mike Gesicki on the Twitter after celebration. That gritty could use some work, but what a catch.
At number 3, we have William Kolvik in the right place at the right time. The Terps had 2 quick passes and then found the streaking Kolvik across the field to tack 1 score onto the board. Kolvik's goal would go on to be the deciding factor in the victory.
Next up is the Big Ten Freshman of the Week and our Terp of the Week, Roman Hemby, sprinting downfield to ice the game over Northwestern. The 75-yard dash just added Hemby's career night and was one of 3 touchdowns. A heck of a run from Hemby.
And our final number 1 play is a little bit different than usual. It's 6'3", 330-pound offensive lineman Johari Branch celebrating Roman Hemby's 75-yard score with a cartwheel. Although Branch got flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct, it would be a disservice to him not to note this pure athleticism this celebration takes on. Congrats to Johari Branch on having our number 1 play. And that's going to do it for us on this edition of The Left Bench. Kevin McNulty and Kira Bruno will be back with you on November 8th for a special basketball preview show.
And in the meantime, don't forget to keep up with all of Terrapin Sports Central's coverage on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and online at terrapinsportscentral.com.
We'll see you next time.